Welcome to Porcelain Peak, a strange and scary podcast dissecting all things horror and sci-fi. Here are your hosts, or what's left of them, Tone, John, and Anthony. Enjoy the trivia while you can.
Hey, welcome to your penultimate episode of Season 4 of Porcelain Peak.
You want to play bodies?
So much chop talk, it's enough to break your tabs. Then we're going to play trivia. Then we're going to talk about bodies. Maybe even play a little bit. And then for our final cut, we're keeping it a mystery because I don't think we know yet. So we'll get there when
Mystery
we get there.
flavor.
Yeah, the white one.
Yeah, that's because we're a couple of airheads. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's go ahead and get started with that chop talk.
Chop it up.
Chop it, John. Chop it.
Vincent Price, eat my ass out.
Eat my ass out.
Why don't you take an axe and chop it open?
Tell me what's the news.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are we? It's the end of the season, man. Don't start inventing new shit for the show.
Oh, I love it. Keep reinventing.
Tell me what's the news.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, first, before we get into, did we talk about how everybody's doing? Did you ask how everybody was doing?
Because John went.
Okay. Well, how's everybody doing? Usually you ask, and then I'm like, I don't know if we ever ask you how you're doing. So how are you guys doing?
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. John?
Doing okay.
Couldn't be worse.
Well, high five because I am completely miserable.
Okay, good luck.
So, my hand's very clammy. But you
both,
know
really?
that. Yeah. So, let's get into Chop Talk. Let's see if some of this news can help put a little pep in our depressed step, huh? So I wanted to start with a few bits of news on some documentaries that we're getting coming out. I'm a big documentary fan. If it's a horror documentary, I like to check it out. First up, we have a documentary called The Rise of the Synths. Synths, Synths. This documentary traverses 9 countries, interviewing the scene's biggest stars and original trailblazers. The film explores the roots of the now breakout synthwave scene, and it is narrated by John Carpenter.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and will be on Screambox. Doesn't have a premiere date yet, but if you're interested in John Carpenter and synth music, that's something to check out. The Legacy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an 83-minute documentary. I feel like we have so many Texas Chainsaw Massacre documentaries, but whatever. It's a great movie. This one is going to present a journey into the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, exploring the elements that garnered the film its cult status. So if you like TCM, not to be confused with Turner Classic Movies, check out this documentary whenever it comes out. Also doesn't have a release date.
Hey, a Screambox, what Nev Campbell calls her vagina.
Jesus Christ.
Probably.
By Screambox.
Sounds like something that Courtney Cox would say, not Nev Campbell.
Cox's boxes.
Cox's boxes. King on Screen. This is one that I'm actually super excited about. This is a documentary that is going to feature an inside look into the majority of the 80 films that are based on Stephen King stories.
God damn.
The majority of directors are going to be involved in interviews that have adapted King's work to the screen, showcasing the unique relationship as they reimagine his work to film. The documentary has interviews from Frank Darabont.
I was going to say, you got to have him.
Yeah, Frank Darabont, Mick Garris, Mike Flanagan, Greg Nicotero, and a bunch of others. So that also doesn't have a release date yet. These are mostly festival documentaries, and Bloody Disgusting obviously gets access to that stuff. So that's where I'm getting this info.
Are they going to interview King about Maximum Overdrive?
I hope. I really hope. And then the last documentary is one called Living with Chucky. This documentary is apparently have an interesting angle because it quickly diverges from the pack as a unique documentary. It's not just a documentary that reflects upon the entire franchise's legacy, but it also celebrates the families that the killer doll has forged and bonded together. And it looks to involve everyone from Alex Vincent to what's her fucking face?
Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, but Brad Dourif's daughter.
Is
it
Fiona?
Yeah. And how it's affected their lives and all that stuff. So I'm interested in checking that out because I'm a I'm a surprisingly big fan of Chucky. We learned that when we did our Chucky coverage.
It's so good.
I mean,
Except 3, it's a killer franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally also I would say that slightly above, but Seed is probably around there somewhere too for me.
If you know what you're getting yourself into, Seed is...
It can be fun,
Yeah.
but
It's pretty dope.
But I mean, as far as like a series consistency, I mean, it's almost up there with Scream.
Yep. Speaking of consistency, this kind of blows me away because I never hear anybody but us talk about this show, but Love, Death, and Robots has been renewed for season 4. So
4? Did 3 come out?
It did.
That was the one that just came out?
Yeah.
Oh, because 2 was hella short, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Crazy.
Yeah. So season 4 got all the team, David Fincher, all them back on board. I don't know if Fincher's going to direct an episode like he did this season. I never finished the season. It's not a show that I'm like especially compelled to watch. It's nice when I'm like, I'm really in the mood to like trip balls to some crazy animation. Got to be in the right mood. But I just love that this is a show that we've been talking about since the beginning of Love, Death, and Robots, and that it's still chugging along for a show that, again, I never hear anybody talk about.
Yeah, the cool thing about that show, too, is that they can just continue to make it even outside the season because it's not related in any way.
Yeah, and just keep doing weird, crazy stuff. Vince Gilligan, who recently finished up Better Call Saul, a lot of people were sad about that. Not a show that I have yet to check out. But he said that he's taken, I think I might have mentioned it on last week's episode, he's taken a break from the Breaking Bad universe. He's actually shopping around a new horror sci-fi series that is being described as X-Files meets Twilight Zone, which Vince Gilligan worked on some of the best X-Files episodes. So if he's doing something in the X-Files vein, I'm 100% down to see it. I think that Vince Gilligan is fucking awesome, and I'm sure after I watch Better Call Saul, I'll be like, give me all the rest of your stuff. Shudder. You guys know about this? You guys seen about this? Heard about this? Shudder?
Mm-hmm.
Shudder's got a 61-day Halloween lineup that's starting September 1st.
Okay.
Of programming all Halloween based. Their statement was, Halloween is the best time of year on Shudder, and this Halloween we're featuring the best lineup of programming in our history. We have 11 original and exclusive movie premieres, including a new film from Dario Argento, which I think is probably his Dark Glasses movie or whatever that was doing the festival circuit. A Halloween special from Joe Bob Briggs, which I'm obviously very excited for. 3 new series, one from Brian Fuller, one from the Boulet Brothers, and one from Eli Roth's History of Horror team called Queer for Fear, The History of Queer Horror, which I am also very excited to check out. Shudder's doing awesome stuff, and I feel like they're getting better all the time. I don't know about this Screambox and what kind of competition they're going to be putting up.
Just put your shit on Shudder so that we just have the one. Like, I don't need 2 different horror apps. You know?
Yeah.
Speaking of Shudder...
but Brian Fuller hasn't done anything in a while, right? Not since the Hannibal show, I don't think.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are probably going to be excited about that if they're Brian Fuller fans. Shudder this Thursday for us, so the 18th, so in the past for you guys. Glorious, the Rebecca McKendry movie about J.K. Simmons voicing a demonic glory hole. That premieres this Thursday, so if you haven't checked that out, check it out. I've heard really good things about it. And then Orphan First Kill comes out this Friday on Paramount Plus.
Wow.
And I've also heard that one leans like full into camp and is actually a ton of fun and really cool. So I may have checked out both of those by the time you hear from us again.
Speaking of camp, I did finally get around to watching the Munsters trailer.
Oh, yeah?
And I get what people are saying now. Like, that's an awful trailer.
Yeah.
And I don't understand.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, what is happening?
Well, especially after seeing even just the set photos and stuff from Burton's Addams Family show. Like, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a night and day difference.
I mean, I'm fine with the coloring. I like that it's weird and wacky, but it feels like they used an iPhone or something. Like, it doesn't. The cinematography feels off.
I'd be very curious to see, one, if it comes out, if it's good or not, but assuming that it's probably going to be a terrible train wreck, I'd be really interested to find out why. Like, what? Because we don't really know a lot about the production of this movie, and it could have something to do with the fact that it seems to have kind of behind the scenes jumped from originally being maybe a Hulu exclusive to being a Netflix thing, and maybe he couldn't get the budget that he wanted, or, you know, it's hard to say. So maybe a documentary like a year later that's like the tragedy of the Munsters.
Munsters are going to Netflix too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Fucking weird, dude.
But beautiful transition into trailers. Things that are coming to Netflix and other places. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. Did you guys check out the little teaser for this?
Mm-mm.
This is probably the most excited I've been for like a horror thing in quite a long time. The teaser is really interesting because it's got clips from all of the stories, but basically this is going to be an anthology where each story is going to be directed by it's going to take place in its own world, crafted and directed by a hand-picked director in the horror genre, handpicked by Guillermo del Toro. But the whole show, from what I saw from the scenes, looks absolutely fucking gorgeous and creepy as hell. Lots of like weird Guillermo del Toro-esque creatures. The description here says, from macabre to magical, gothic to grotesque, or classically creepy, 8 sinister tales, including 2 original works by del Toro, will be brought to life by a team of writers and directors personally chosen by the Shape of Water director. Some of the highlights were Anna Lily Amanpour, who did A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, is doing one of them. I believe I have it pulled up here. Catherine Hardwicke, who did some of the Twilight movies, is doing one with Rupert Grint in the cast. Vincenzo Natali, who did Cube and Splice, is doing one. Panos Cosmatos, who did Mandy and Enter the Void, Beyond the Black Rainbow, is doing one. David Pryor, who did The Empty Man recently, and then Jennifer Kent, who did The Babadook and Nightingale. So lots of good directors. There's a couple like iffy ones on here, but I'm very excited about it. I think and I just saw Martin stars in one of the episodes, so that's exciting.
Interesting.
Did you guys see that trailer for that movie Smile?
No, because I was just like, is it just people with big smiles? Because we've seen that effect in like Truth or Dare and a bunch of other stuff, and it looks
it looked pretty creepy.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably gonna be a wreck, but I was like, some of the parts had me like, oh shit.
I'll have to check out the trailer.
Our understanding of trailers has been pretty off lately.
Yeah, but I mean, if it looks good on the trailer, it's probably gonna be trash.
Yeah. Did you guys watch the Wednesday trailer that came out today?
I did
for the Wednesday show.
I saw the pictures.
So there was that photo that I sent you guys yesterday of all the cats. Again, they keep putting out these photos in black and white, and I'm like, I wish this show was in black and white. But yeah, teaser came out. I think it's like a minute and a half long. It looks like Dark Shadows, pretty much. So it looks like, late period Burton. It's just a teaser, so I'm not going to make too much of a judgment by it. There were a couple moments that felt very Addams Family. There's a part where Wednesday is like, she goes to like a school pool full of jocks, and they're like shouting at her, and she's like, nobody gets to torture my brother but me, and then she drops like 2 bags of live piranhas into the pool, and they get their nuts eaten off, or the guys get their nuts eaten off or whatever. It looks pretty bloody. Like it looks like it's trying to do like a Riverdale murder mystery type thing.
Wait until they actually
wait until
they actually tie it into the fucking Riverdale universe, like they're literally doing with everything now.
What else?
Well, Sabrina was.
But there was another thing that apparently they are also looping into Riverdale.
Oh, really?
I don't remember what. Well,
CW's canceling all their shows, so because they realized that because they realized that their main demographic is people like 58 years old. So they were like, why are we making all these? It's a whole nother story. It's a mess.
Really?
But yeah, I would check out this teaser. It looks very Tim Burton, so that's cool, and does look a lot better than the Monsters trailer did. Let's see. There's a new movie called a Peacock series called Vampire Academy. Apparently this was made into a movie at some point that was terrible.
A while back.
Based on some books. So I just included this because we've been talking about how vampires are making a comeback.
Twilight craze. There's a new vampire movie on Netflix too called Day Shift.
Day Shift with Jamie Foxx. Yeah. I haven't checked it out yet.
I watched it. It's cool. Oh, I'd watch it again.
Might have to check it out.
Not anything like, oh fuck yeah, but
yeah, like I said,
there's a time.
There's a lot of news, so we're still trucking along. Hulu's Hellraiser, which is being directed by the guy who did, I think his name's David Bruckner, who did The Night House and a couple other things. It has been rated R for strong, bloody horror, violence, and gore, language throughout, some sexual content, and brief graphic nudity.
Some sexual content?
Yeah. But coming to Hulu. So let's hope that's another Prey situation.
Hulu's Hellraiser.
I don't play the Evil Dead game, but I thought this was kind of interesting that Mia from the Evil Dead remake is going to be a playable survivor character in September for people who are playing the Evil Dead game. Makes me happy to see that they're still including that movie as, because people love that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
So happy to see that they're including it. The Black Phone. You guys pumped for a sequel to The Black Phone?
Really?
Yeah, it's in talks. It's in talks for a sequel.
Talks on what, the phone?
The movie cost $18 million and made some like ridiculous horror movie amount of money. That means that obviously the studio is like, let's fast track a sequel. And Scott Derrickson said that Joe Hill pitched a wonderful idea for a sequel to The Black Phone if the original does well, which it did. He says he's going to do it. He's got a great idea, and he really likes it. So we're probably getting The Black Phone too.
Hopefully it's a Quiet Place Part 2 situation where we're pleasantly surprised, even though it doesn't need a sequel.
We'll just give it another shitty trailer, and then I'm sure it'll be great. The Changeling, a movie that we talk about a lot because we love it, is getting
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not my son.
I am your daughter. Wait, no, different movie. The Changeling is getting a 4K release by Severin Films in September with a fuck ton of bonus features and like a separate disc that's just the score or whatever, and that's very cool because that's a dope movie.
Right on.
Saw 10. It's coming out October 27th, 2023.
Has there not been a 10th one?
I guess Spiral is considered the 9th one.
Oh. All right.
And now this is the 10th one. October 27th, 2023. It's going to be directed by Kevin Greuter.
It's called Saw X?
I don't know. They just said Saw 10. Untitled
Sucks.
Saw 10. I'm sure it'll be called Saw X. Directed by Kevin Greuter, who directed Saw 6. So I'm like, probably going to be terrible because most of the Saws after 3 are terrible. I love all the Saw movies, but they're terrible. Under Wraps, the remake, is getting a sequel that's coming Sunday, September 25th. So if you're a Under Wraps sequel stan or remake stan, then you're getting a sequel to that remake.
Just bring Under Wraps to fucking Disney Plus, all right?
I think it's on there.
It is now?
I don't remember. I watched it somewhere. Maybe it was on YouTube. I watched it recently, though.
Maybe it's on there, but they're not making it super obvious because they want to, keep it under wraps.
Womp womp.
Ezra Miller, we've been talking about him a lot. Them a lot. That's what I said. Just kind of mumbled it. We've been talking about them a lot.
We try to convince, dude.
Can't convince me if you can't convince yourself. So we were talking about the 3 options that Warner Brothers might take for Ezra Miller. It sounds like they're taking that option where they're going to try to get them into rehab. And
option 1.
Yeah, option 1, because Ezra Miller came out with an apology today saying that they're going through an intense mental health crisis. They say, having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering from complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize for everyone that I have harmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life. So it sounds very much like the studio was like, cool, we're going to write this statement for you. We're going to put you in rehab. Let's try to get you fixed up before our movie comes out. So there you go. Recent news on that. Sacheen Littlefeather, I wanted to mention this because we have our personal Oscar award, the Emmeline Sacheen Gaynor Award. Part of that name comes from Sacheen Littlefeather. Very briefly, she's a Native American woman who accepted Marlon Brando's Oscar for The Godfather because he was protesting the treatment of Native American people in Hollywood. She almost got jumped by John Wayne off stage. I learned reading about this. He had to get wrangled by security.
And he said some pretty fucked up things.
Well, and then Clint Eastwood came up and was like, I'm presenting this award in honor of all of the cowboys that got shot in John Ford movies or whatever. So everybody basically shit on her for the entire night and for decades after. And it's been 50 years since it happened, and the Academy finally issued an apology. Luckily, Sacheen is still alive, so she was able to accept the apology, and she said Native American people are very patient. She was like, it's been 15 years, and I'm just extremely happy that they finally apologized. So yeah, if you care about the Academy.
You know that Clint Eastwood is older than The Hobbit?
The book, The Hobbit?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Does that fuck you up?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, he has looked like the Crypt Keeper for the last 4 decades.
Yeah. I learned that recently, and I was like, what the fuck? He's that old? Because I always think of The Hobbit as just old. But there you go.
Yeah. They're both just old as dirt.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got for news. Thanks for being patient and bearing with me, but there was a lot of stuff. Like I said, I told these guys I almost crashed my computer today with the amount of tabs I had open from Bloody Disgusting, trying to get snippets put into my notes. But yeah, a lot happened. It's been a big week, and I think we're probably gonna have a lot more news
as October gets closer.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Including news from us.
Jordan Peele's.
What?
Jordan Peele's us.
That's enough. You guys ready for trivia? Because I am.
Yeah, let's do it.
John, roll the tape.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Us the Black Eyed Peas.
That Christmas house of wax, the fog, piranha. It's one of those, right?
Shout out to
See more butts.
shout out to Ligma.
John, before you give us your new song, cover up that answer, bro. Please reveal to us what last week's. Give us a reminder what it was, and then reveal what it was.
He's like, I don't have any fucking clue.
I plumb forget it.
I gotcha. It was Triv to trivia.
Teenage Dream.
It is Teenage Dream
Dream.
because it is in Umbrella Academy Season 3, which we're finished covering on Patreon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
you can
God.
get all 10 episodes covered right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't even have to watch the show. You can just hear us talk about it.
Skip
Probably
it.
probably a better go pay for our thoughts.
Right on. What's your new shit?
What's the new shit?
Yeah.
Sing us your new song. Give us another challenge for the week.
All right. Trivia tune this week is trivia.
Okay, well, I have no idea at this current moment, so write in, phone in, call us right now. The lines are hot. Oh, hello. Yeah, they don't know either.
All right, ready to play whatever the fuck this game's called?
Horror Trivia Horror Edition.
Scary movie.
Scary
Nice.
movie
Scary
night.
Spooky Edition.
We all tied last week and just gave up because it was just too much to keep going. John, your question is, which Marvel movie director produced and co-wrote the 2011 horror comedy The Cabin in the Woods?
Is it Joss Whedon?
That is correct, sir, and you're on the board.
Oh, sorry, it was Josh Whedon.
Josh Whedon.
Josh. That's how Sean Connery said it. Josh Whedon.
Anthony, which horror movie starring Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder won 3 Oscars in 1993?
Is that Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yes.
Nailed it.
Sweet.
So you got to get all 3 parts of the title, dude.
Tone. Which 1987 movie features the tagline, sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die. It's fun to be a vampire.
That's a fucking hell of a tagline.
Yeah. Doesn't really roll off the tongue. That was the other tagline for this movie.
Yeah.
Sorry about my doggies. Hoo-wee. You done? 87?
Mm-hmm.
Read it again, sorry.
Sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die. It's fun to be a vampire.
Is it The Lost Boys?
It is indeed The Lost Boys. Good job.
Cool, so we're all tied again. John, your next one is name the German director who remade the 1922 movie Nosferatu in 1979.
Is it Werner Herzog?
That is correct. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that fucking weirdo and his weird ass voice.
Yeah, I was, and it's just so weird because
I
I'm
want
like,
to see the
I always
baby.
think of him first as the documentary guy, but now I've
Yeah.
seen him. I obviously know he did Nosferatu, and then he's just also in
The Mandalorian.
just completely
I
randomly.
want to see the baby.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy in the first season who's like, I need the baby.
I
didn't
need to
know
see
that.
the
Oh,
baby. Yeah, that's him.
I need to show him the wonders of the world.
He's the fucking world's weirdest voice, man. It's so awesome.
That's rad.
Anthony, which Wes Craven film begins with the death of Drew Barrymores?
This is going to be really tough because I just watched all 5 Scream movies, and so I can't think of any other Wes Craven movies. Is it Scream? Yeah. Something that I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but in Scream 3, Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, is still wearing the fraternity letters from her boyfriend, Kangaroo Jack, from the second one. Which also...
Jerry O'Connell.
Also, he's in the second one, and then Anthony Anderson's in the fourth one, so they got all the Kangaroo Jack representation in the Scream
where's the damn
franchise.
kangaroo?
Yeah. Also, Jerry O'Connell played Herman Munster in that like weird Mockingbird Lane Munsters reboot they tried to do, and Portia de Rossi played, is it Lily Munster? And she shows up in Scream 2. So they got all that Munsters representation in there too. I was really digging, like, when you've seen that franchise as many times as I have, you really just start digging deep. Anyway, Tone, for your horror movie trivia, spooky edition.
Right on.
Who played Dracula in the Hammer horror movie Dracula, Prince of Darkness?
Is it Christopher Lee?
It is indeed Christopher Lee.
Good job.
With
good
this
job.
game, you basically just go with your gut because you're
Yeah.
probably right.
Well, we're still tied at 2 then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
John, what is the name of the demonic clown in the It movies?
Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
Yeah, Pennywise was enough, you overachiever.
Is it Nickel? Is it Nickel Smart?
Wrong. It's just Pennywise.
Anthony, which movie won the inaugural Oscar for Best Makeup in 1981 thanks to its gruesome transformation effects?
It's like I'm living a
Is it An American Werewolf in London?
It is. I'd like to meet his tailor.
Who's Taylor in that movie?
No, it's a line from the song American Werewolf in London.
Oh, Werewolf in London.
It's a werewolf in London.
All right, Tone. Which 1982 supernatural horror movie was directed by Tobe Hooper?
Tobe
Hooper.
Poltergeist.
And written by Stephen King. Poltergeist.
Poultry Guys.
Nice. All right, I'll tie it at 3. John, which 1984 movie used the tagline, "If Nancy doesn't wake up screaming, she won't wake up at all"?
A Nightmare on Elm Street.
That is correct, sir.
Did I write
Nice
this
job.
trivia in my sleep?
Lily James and Sam Riley starred in which horrific parody of a Jane Austen novel?
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
Say Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
I completely forgot that movie existed, and if it hadn't been for the Jane Austen part, I would not in a million years have known. Has anybody seen that movie?
Nope.
That was when they thought the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter thing was going to be like the next big craze.
I watched that in theaters, and it was
Never seen it. I thought about putting it on just, for as a whatever movie. Tone, for your horror movie trivia spooky edition question. Which 2020, a lifetime ago, sci-fi horror movie starring Elizabeth Moss is based on an H.G. Wells novel?
What year?
2020.
Oh, I was like, that was just recent. Oh, The Invisible Man.
There appears to be no answer here. It is indeed The Invisible Man.
Right on. We're all tied at 4.
Yep.
Okay, now we're moving into Name That Movie. I'm going to describe a movie to you, John, and there are words that I cannot say.
Taboo.
All right. There are worm creatures underground in a very arid location.
Arid location. I love it.
And one of the actors has a name very similar to your dog.
I was good at worm creature.
Yeah.
Tremors.
Dune,
That is
obviously.
Yeah, it is Tremors. I could not say bacon, desert, or vibrations.
It's obviously an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where they meet the Alaskan bullworm.
bullworm.
Anthony, for your first name, that movie. It's about a person
Okay.
who is interviewing another person
Okay.
trying to find out about another person who likes to kill people. But the person they're interviewing likes to eat people.
Okay. Okay. Do you still hear them, Clarice? The lambs. Silence of the Lambs.
It is indeed Silence of the Lambs.
Somebody recently I heard on a podcast was like, Anthony Hopkins got a lot of acclaim for that role, but he's basically just doing an Eartha Kitt impression throughout the entire movie. And I was like, that's pretty spot on. Tone. I almost just read the title of the movie. I feel like I do that every week. All right, Tone. This film, is a statement on consumerism.
Okay.
There are ghouls,
Okay.
And,
Ghouls.
and they're in a location where where a movie that also had killer robots took place. And I'm doing a terrible job at this.
Is it okay?
So
Is it
the ghoul?
Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I hope the statement on consumerism thing.
Yeah, literally.
Well,
That's
I-
all I would have
I went
needed.
They Live,
Oh, yeah, that works too.
but then I was like, would you count those as ghouls? All right, we're all still tied at 5.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be a 6-way this time, again, or a 3-way. You know what I mean? Whatever. Put your dick.
Is that end to end or?
Just figure it out. All right, I gotta figure out how to describe this. This movie has Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins, and there are ships in the night,
Strangers in the night.
and it's like a haunted town.
It's like one of them haunted towns.
Are there a particular type of founders in this town?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it is the Fog.
Yeah, that's correct.
Fogtown founders.
My words were lighthouse, carpenter, and ghost.
Scary.
Oh, this one is low key difficult. So, your movie.
So Loki's in it, obviously. Loki.
So your movie, starring a person who was married to Susan Sarandon,
I don't keep tabs on her life, so I can remember that one.
came out in the 90s, and is a movie about a dude
Disguised as another dude.
who comes back from war, but he's not really back from war. He be seeing things.
Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, it is indeed Jacob's Ladder.
Great movie. I was watching something recently that was talking about the biblical Jacob's Ladder, and I was like, I loved that discussion where we were like breaking all that all down and everything.
Have you seen? I watched a video from I Did a Thing about him building a scientific Jacob's Ladder, which is basically you put two.
Built that ladder to heaven.
So you put two electrically charged copper wires up in a position like this, and then put a candle in between them, and then fire them off from two different power sources, and then it basically creates like a mini Aurora Borealis.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Science rules.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that the word pandemonium comes from Paradise Lost? From the book Paradise Lost? Yeah, because pandemonium literally means all demons in Latin, and that's the name of Satan's palace in hell, or Lucifer's palace in hell. And so that's where the word pandemonium comes from.
I learned that the word hors d'oeuvres
Hors d'oeuvres.
means outside of like the main dish.
Yeah.
So this would be our hors d'oeuvre.
Oh, bringing it all back. Tone,
Yep.
your movie
Here we go.
is a movie where a kid
Inquisitive that was said.
where a kid who's a little bit older than a little kid
sort of the median
discovers that his neighbor is a type of blood-sucking ghoul.
Fright Night.
It is indeed. You're so cool, Brewster.
Was Brewster on the card?
It was Vampire Teen and Host. So really, I could have just quoted that quote, but I like.
I liked kid.
Yeah, and I also just like using ghoul as a replacement for any of these. So it was some sort of ghoul.
We'll do one round of tiebreaker. See if we can get someone stumped here.
Kid who's a little older than a little kid.
Yeah, 'cause I couldn't say teen, so I was like, he's a little bit older than a kid.
Well, when you read the tagline to the other one, I was like, ooh, that could be Fright Night, maybe.
Yeah,
But they don't really party, and it's not like a fun vampire movie.
maybe in the Squeakquel,
And what?
the Fright Night sequel, Fright
Oh.
Night 2.
I don't think I've seen it.
Neither have I. Heard it's not terrible. It's about Chris Sarandon's sister coming back for revenge, and it has the original kid, the original guy.
Right on.
Yeah, so
All right, John, see if we can get something here. Scalping innocent victims to dress up his mannequins is the name of the game for this psychotic killer in this movie. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So, scalpel,
Scalping.
scalping.
Did I say scalpel?
No.
No.
Oh.
Here's what you want to hear. I don't know why.
Scalpel innocent victims.
So, scalping innocent victims to put skin on a mannequin.
To dress up as mannequins is the name of the game for this psychotic killer in this movie.
Let's play a game.
This is the 80s pack, if that helps.
80s pack?
80s pack.
We smoking on that 80s pack?
Yeah.
Pass the Dutch upon the left hand side.
Come on, brother.
Hey, when I sing, it's cool. When you sing, you're stalling.
Like Joseph.
You're still doing it.
Last of the Mohicans.
Is that your guess?
No!
Can we give you a hint?
You can if you want.
No, man, this is the tiebreaker. You can't give any
Okay,
hints.
fine.
I'll take the hint, but the answer doesn't count.
I was just going to do this.
That's so funny because I was thinking the same thing.
Really? Yeah.
That's hilarious, actually.
Do you do it again?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know why this is not ringing a bell.
That is like, get there. That's not from the movie.
Yeah. If you started there, you're working backwards.
Yeah.
I am confusion.
Okay, I'll break it down for you. This is from Flashdance.
Yes. Okay.
And what's that song?
Oh, God.
Oh, come on, brother.
Come on, baby.
I'm a maniac.
Oh, so,
Maniac.
yeah, Maniac.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because I was literally, as soon as we finished, I was going to be, she's a maniac, maniac.
I think that's, I've been on record. I've never seen Maniac, so that's
Me either.
the reason why.
Well, the Elijah Wood one is like one of my probably like top 5 favorite modern horror movies. I would definitely check them both out and then listen to a podcast on Elm Street guest episode where we compare the two.
Well, before you do that, listen to you get this question. All right, so this doomed family should have known that nothing brought back to life would remain the same.
You're not thinking about going up to that old pet cemetery, are you?
I'm sure it is. It's number 20 if you want to check the answer. But
here.
I'm like, don't look at the other answers.
The soil of a man's heart is
It is Pet
stony.
Cemetery, yes.
Cool. Fred Gwynn of Munsters fame. Bringing it all back.
How did you just give the Busters a rest, dude?
I'm hyping it up. All right, Tone, for your question. A scientist gets genetically split in two after an accident goes horribly wrong.
Gets genetically split in two?
Mm-hmm. After an experiment goes horribly wrong.
Horribly.
Is it Jekyll and Hyde?
No clue. Number 12.
Oh, right.
Huh.
No.
It's The Fly.
I wouldn't count that because that's not a correct description of what
Gets
happens
genetically
in that movie.
split in two?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, I would say
Not the 80s The Fly. I think a case could be made that that's what happens in The Price The Fly.
but definitely not the 80s one. So I think it's only fair that you get a different question because
I would agree with that.
I thought it was The Fly, and I was like, this is probably just a bad question, which, hey, happens. We're getting our trivia from wonderful people who have taken the time to make these tiny cards
There
by
you
hand.
go.
So
Good save.
Me. What's the number?
this is fucking hilarious. Number 19.
Okay.
Oh,
This blood-sucking ghoul romp. This vampiric romp teams up a TV host and a 17-year-old fan of his.
Fright Night.
It is indeed Fright Night. I don't even have to look
All right, give me one of the name that movie ones, and then I will slowly describe a
Just
movie.
call it a tie, dude.
Let's slowly describe one, and then whoever answers first.
I don't like doing that.
I like doing that because it's fun for me to make up stupid shit.
Let him do his thing.
All right, I don't know where they're at.
Me.
So how are you going to do this? So you're just going to keep describing it until one of us guesses it? Or are you going to describe it and then say stop?
No, I'm gonna keep describing it, and then
Until one of us guesses?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not ready. So.
Okay. I've got one.
Okay. Good luck, sir.
Thanks. You too, I guess.
This movie
Mm-hmm.
is about a place of commerce.
Okay.
Many people are stuck in this place of commerce. In this film that looks better in black and white than it does in color.
The Mist. Motherfucker. Love you, though. Great round. Hey, I'm just excited because a trivia win for me is slim pickings these days. So...
Me.
What?
I'm just imagining that was Frank Darabont trying to pitch what was already a story written by Stephen King, and for some reason he's trying to pitch it as like, so there's a group of people stuck in a place of commerce.
So I couldn't say. Oh, we didn't. I don't think we talked about any of the words we couldn't
I
say.
did, but he didn't. So.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't say it was store, king, or monsters.
Store. Gang.
I'm having trouble getting this in. So.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed trivia. These questions are a little bit easier for us, which may be actually more fun for the listener since we're not doing such high level horror trivia. But I like that we're kind of easing down into some more fun and less challenging stuff for the end of the season. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for trivia that we should do in the future, let us know, because
We're running out.
we're running out.
We don't know if we're going to have enough for season 5.
I mean,
If you want season 5, you got to write all the trivia for it. That's what we're saying, audience. So by October, we better have a fully realized, illustrated trivia game that meets our standards of
and it better
horror
be
trivia.
even tinier cards than these.
I ripped the box.
I ripped my box.
That's what the new Hellraiser movie's about.
Sounds painful. Tear your hole apart.
Right on. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be right back with Bodies.
Bodies.
Don't gaslight me, bitch.
You gaslighting me? I'm feeling pretty gaslit right now.
Head on over to patreon.com/porcelainpeak for hours and hours of additional content, merch, and more. For $5 a month you get access to our weekly trivia bonus episodes, where we write each other new quizzes for every episode. For $10 you get access to our monthly /Terpiece theater commentary tracks, where we crack wise over the top of movies for your enjoyment, alongside a monthly print designed by Anthony Silva. For $20 you can join our producer tier, where you will get early access to our episodes, a t-shirt every 6 months, and the ability to help us come up with ideas for future episodes. All versions of the episode are provided ad-free on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/porcelainpeak to help support the show.
Head on over to porcelainpeakshop.com and purchase some merch to help support the show, or purchase our Horror is for Everyone shirt to support new causes every month. This month we are donating all proceeds from this shirt to GLSEN, because we believe that all students deserve to learn in an environment free from bigoted pieces of shit. Share a picture with your merch on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook and we will give you a shout out on a future episode. Again, that's porcelainpeakshop.com to help support the show and look fly as hell in the process. Thanks to everyone for watching. Now back to Tone, John, and Anthony.
Hey, you want to see something really scary?
Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that break. If you didn't, then we're glad you stuck around. Here's what we're talking about now.
Bodies, bodies, bodies.
A24 is bodies, bodies, bodies. So if you don't know, here is a brief little summary. When a group of rich 20-somethings plan a hurricane party at a remote family mansion, a party game turns deadly in this fresh and funny look at backstabbing fake friends and one party gone very, very wrong. And John's going to tell you a little bit more about the players.
So this movie is directed by Helena Rain and stars Amanda Stenberg as Sophie, Maria Baklova as Bee, Rachel Sennett as Alice, Chase Sway Wonders as Emma, Pete Davidson as David, Mila Harold as Jordan, Lee Pace as Greg, and Connor O'Malley as Max.
Yeah, and then the writers, John?
Our writers, Sarah DeLapp and Kristen Rupinian.
Right on. There we go. And that is everybody involved that you need to know about.
Yeah.
That's actually the entire cast.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever done before.
Small cast, small movie.
Right, yeah. A little bit of a spoiler there, I guess. So before we get too far into spoilers, I think overall we can just kind of say what
What we thought.
if we do or we don't recommend,
Yeah.
maybe?
You want to just do thumbs?
I mean, it'll literally just be you down, him in the middle, and me up.
Well, there you go.
Pretty
You don't need
much,
to say
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so Anthony did not
I am
like it.
I am a thumbs down on bodies, bodies, bodies.
I was fine with it. And John and
I
Jimmy.
dug it, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, and now we're going to move forward talking about spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning.
And now put that sound over me doing that. It's gonna be unbearable.
So, yeah, bunch of friends. A little bit more broken down. So Sophie and Bee are a couple. They show up to this hurricane party. Kind of, maybe sort of uninvited. It's not,
Mostly unannounced, though.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. And it is owned by Pete Davidson's character, which I don't know how they came up with naming him David, but that's pretty progressive.
David's son.
Isn't that the killer from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? Was it like Will's son?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, it's his house. He and
In the middle of his street.
Sophie are childhood friends, and they are all partying except for Sophie's character, who is sober.
Yeah, and so they get together and they kind of establish for a little bit that they are kind of all on tenuous ground in terms of their friendships. Everybody seems to have some beef with everybody else. They kind of try to establish as much of that in the beginning as possible before we get to the main event, which is the hurricane hits, everybody's stuck inside, and they decide to play a game called Bodies, 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 which is basically a variation on Werewolf, which I was happy that they actually mentioned when Lee Pace is like, you guys still playing Werewolf?
Yeah,
I was like,
everybody compared it, like, in, like, reviews and stuff that I saw, everybody compared it to Among Us. I'm like, literally Among Us is also Werewolf. Like, why can't, or Mafia. It's all the fucking
It's all
Yeah,
the same
so in
game.
this one, you turn off the lights, someone touches your back, and then you're dead. And then they turn the lights back on, you kind of try to have to figure out who the killer is. And then you can continue to play, right?
Yeah, so you just, when you find a body, you have to yell bodies, bodies, bodies. Everybody turns on the lights. And then, of course, you know, because this is a horror movie, some shit goes down. So people start getting murdered when the lights are off. And it starts with Pete Davidson's character getting his throat slit, which launches everybody into this paranoid running around the house for the rest of the movie. Trying to figure out who killed Pete Davidson and getting paranoid to the point that they start kind of basically just murdering each other.
Yeah, murdering each
And-
other, turning on each other, and truths come out. Lots of drugs, lots of drinking,
lots of drama.
lots of drama, yeah.
Yeah, I saw somebody compare it to call it like horror Euphoria, basically, like the show Euphoria, but if it was a horror movie.
Parts of it reminded me of You're Next,
Mm-hmm.
I think for obvious reasons. And then I feel like there was a Hulu movie that was like New Year's Eve, where a very similar plot, where there was like people dying at a party and they were trying to figure out who
Was it one of those Blumhouse Enter the Dark things or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, exactly what it was. And this movie felt a lot like that.
Yeah, I this to me felt like the epitome of a Blumhouse movie, and I was kind of like, I had to keep like slapping myself in the theater. People were looking at me all weird. It was crazy to remind
There
myself.
are people in your theater?
Yeah.
Oh.
2 other people. No, I mean, really, I meant to text you guys last night and be like, the one thing I did like about this was that the crowd was awesome because there was almost fucking nobody there. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody went to see this movie. I think it made something like maybe $18 million or something. But
Was
which
your showing?
It was relatively empty, and two people who look like they maybe were in their late 30s, early 40s got up and left 10 minutes in.
there's too many
Whoa.
bodies in this movie. I can deal with bodies.
10
I can
minutes
deal with
in?
bodies, not with bodies.
It might have been closer to 15, but like as the bickering,
I can 110% understand why that was. Because like you said, when you kind of gave a little disclaimer about this movie, you were like, there's a rough bit of like 15 minutes of dialogue in the beginning that if you really can't stand the like Zoomer brand, like Gen Z TikTok language, it's going to drive you, this whole movie is going to drive you up the fucking wall. And I can see people like, and then also, there's obviously not something that bothered me, and I'm sure it didn't bother any of us, but it does open with an extended, just like tongue-on-tongue makeouts. It did bother me because I don't like mouth noises in movies, but there's a very extended like makeout scene in the beginning, and I think if people went into this and are obviously offended by like a same-sex relationship, they might have just walked out immediately when they realized that was a big part
you
of
can
the
walk
movie.
out of here too. But
That part didn't bother me, but the length of it, I was like, what's the point of this?
Yeah, it
From
felt like Spring
a-
Breakers or something where...
Just from a movie perspective, like, why are we spending so much time?
Spring
on
Break.
I knew as soon as that kiss was done that I wasn't going to like this movie. I was like, I can already tell what vibe you're going for, and I'm not into it.
So you think you're just too old?
I don't know because
As the youngest person in the room, you feel like you're too old.
well, so yeah, right. I'm an old soul. It's been 83 years. No, like I thought that wasn't going to bother me because I don't necessarily have a problem with like the Gen Z TikToker thing. It's just that I felt like the characters were so unlikable. And when you're
Everybody.
and when you're watching a horror movie, besides maybe Lee Pace,
Yeah.
everybody is so shitty to each other and so hateable in this movie and making the dumbest decisions possible in every situation. And then you hope in a horror movie, which a lot of people have been like, don't go into this thinking it's a horror movie. It's more of a whodunit, like party movie or whatever, which is fine. I kind of was like, okay, no, it's not going to be crazy. You want the characters that you hate watching to get like really cool, brutal deaths. And almost all the deaths are off screen in the dark.
They have, yeah.
So you don't
to
even
make it
get
make
the
sense,
release
yeah.
of like, cool, all these shitty characters getting brutally murdered. The only person who gets really brutally murdered in the movie is Lee Pace, and he's the only character that was likable. So I went in knowing that you had said, okay, the first 15 minutes is rough. So I got past the first 15 minutes, and I was like, this is still rough. And then I got like 45 minutes in, and I'm like, okay, I'm really waiting for this movie to like do something for me. Like I'm really waiting for it to like hook me with some twist or something. And I'm like, I think this, like I wasn't checking the time or anything, but I was like, I have a pretty good fit because I know this movie's only 90 minutes. I'm pretty sure this is getting close to over, and I hate all these characters, and I think everything that's going on is so fucking stupid. And so I was hoping like, ooh, and again, we're in spoilers, but I was just hoping that the ending would be enough of a big reveal to really cinch the whole thing as being like, okay, that was worth it. Sometimes a good enough ending can do that. Mm-hmm. And I did think that the twist was funny. Like it was a funny twist that like, oh, okay, he slit his own throat doing a TikTok dance. That's a funny concept. Wasn't enough to save the rest of the movie for me in terms of, like, it just wasn't enough.
That to me, and I know you disagree with this, John, kind of felt like a disservice because like we're trying to piece together like what's happening this whole time. It's this big mystery, and then it's just like, oh, there's no real. It's like that movie April
Yeah,
Fools.
you don't even get the whodunit to the whodunit. Like
Yeah.
the revelation is that nobody did it.
So it's like it's kind of a slap to the face.
I think that
It's a nice. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to obviously put a twist and not make it like another predictable whodunit where there is a killer at the end, like Scream, where there's always a killer or two killers or whatever.
Yeah,
They're trying to do something different, and so I appreciated that. I just didn't feel like that one provided really any sort of resolution for what was going on with the characters, and also just made like it just again made the entire setup for the movie. Like I get that they were trying to go for, okay, everybody's paranoid, so they're making these, and they're shitty friends, so they're like they're all killing each other because they're paranoid. I like it on paper. Just the execution to me, I was like, I can't stand these characters, so I'm rolling my eyes every time they say anything. All of the dialogue is just them screaming like, no, you're wrong, you're a bitch, it was you. And then it's like, oh, well, no, but yeah, see, even Ziggy didn't like the dialogue in this movie. Bark right over it, what I'm trying to say. It's just, it felt so repetitive too. Like every conversation is just them screaming at each other like, you're silencing me, you're like gaslight. It was just all.
So in terms of the reveal, the twist, What was the positive for you in that?
So I feel like when we get to the end of the film, it's not about who was the killer. It's about what lengths everybody went to in order to not show like everybody like their dirty laundry. Because I mean, at that point, everybody had been kind of found out for the stupid shit that they had done. Like B's character, they found out that she dropped out of school. Sophie was cheating on
Which means
B.
you deserve to die if you dropped out of school.
I mean, she didn't die.
No, I'm just saying, but like in the logic of what that discussion they're having, they're like, oh, you're the killer because you lied about this thing. And it's like, you're all fucking liars. You're all lying about everything.
Yeah.
None of you tell the truth ever in this movie about anything.
Well, I mean, and that's the point. I mean, the whole film is just satire.
It just reminded me so much of the
On
problem
what?
we had with Umbrella Academy, that I had with Umbrella Academy, where it was like, if you sat down for 2 fucking seconds and had a conversation, you could have avoided most of this. Like if you guys had just acted somewhat rationally, which I guess the idea is like, okay, they're young, they're Gen Zers.
They're also on a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
That's also something that maybe because I'm disconnected from the party scene, like I don't do party drugs and I don't drink anymore, like and haven't for a while. That stuff kind of just like doesn't do much for me. Something like Euphoria, I can get past that because the characters are so interesting and like there's so much to all of them. But even the B character, they leave her ambiguously like, is she good, is she bad, throughout the entire movie, to where I was like, I don't know whether I'm supposed to sympathize with her, and she's the only character that I'm potentially likable, because Sophie comes in, and at first you're like, okay, they're madly in love, that's everything. Then you learn that they've only known each other for
6 weeks.
6 weeks or something. And I'm like, okay.
Very recently, she fucked somebody else.
She fucked somebody else. So I was like, okay, so she fucks somebody else. She talks about how she's sober and then relapses in the house.
Yeah.
And goes fucking batshit on everybody when she relapses. Has been lying to her girlfriend while they've been dating. Like, so she's just a piece of shit too. And so I'm like, really, there's no one to root for throughout this movie. And so I'm like, I don't care if anybody makes it out alive, and I'm not even getting the reward of getting to see them all get brutally killed by like some mystery killer or something. Like, it just...
In your opinion, John, what was the satire about?
So for me, the satire was about, like I said, about like going at any length to kind of like hide the dark side of yourself.
Okay.
And the quality of the internet, and the internet that raised most Zoomers, into like the constant finger pointing and creating something out of nothing. Because literally there should be
out of a molehill.
There should be no conflict, because nobody but Pete Davidson killed Pete Davidson. So at that point,
say that about his career too.
it should be, completely resolved, because there's no one was the killer, but they turn everyone into killers by the end, which I think is, like I said, it's very interesting. I think the biggest pitfall for this movie is some of the dialogue for me. There are some things that I did laugh out loud for, some things that I found just kind of casually funny, but not enough to like actually get like a physical reaction from me. And then some of it is very cringy. I think, like I said, the screaming and the pointing about gaslighting and all that shit, like I feel like,
do you think that in itself is a commentary on those terms and how people use them to kind of
100%
get themselves out of things?
Yes, and it's meant, they mean it to try to play it up and make it funny and satirical. I don't feel like it comes across that way some of the time, but some of it does. Like the conversation that they have about her being like, about the podcast. Once again, another movie this year about podcasting. I
did enjoy the podcast stuff. I thought that was funny.
I had to put together a Google Calendar, get the guests together. So funny.
Takes a lot. Yeah, and she's like in tears. Yeah, no, like, but that character, like most of the characters, they just like, they spend all of their time just when you can understand what they're saying, when they're not just shrilly screaming at each other. It's just terrible. Like, and the thing is, like, if you're trying to make a commentary on Gen Z, it kind of feels shitty to make every character in the movie just a complete piece of shit, where I'm like,
except the old dude.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, but my generation, like, of the director or whatever, like, it was the real, like, level-headed person who's, like, doing meditation with, like, I just thought his character was hilarious, and I loved him, and was so sad to see him get his brains bashed in. But yeah, when B decides to bash that dude's brain in, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why is anybody making these decisions? Like, to me, it felt like, okay, I get you're trying to do satirical.
You're
trying to do a satire on a generation that maybe like already I feel it gets goofed on a lot, and it's like this is our young generation, and you're basically just like, yeah, our young generation is just a bunch of at the drop of a hat will kill each other murderers. And it feels kind of like a shallow satire to me in that respect. Like it doesn't like there's not enough nuance in what's going on with the case. That's what I was waiting for the whole time. Is like I was waiting for the nuance. Like I was waiting for something to be introduced into this whole thing that beyond that 15 minutes of cringy dialogue. I was like, that's when it'll kick in with like whatever the like more deeper levels of these characters. Like if it was really going to delve into like something about their psychology or something, but it just feels all very like shallow and kind of like a lazy critique on Gen Z.
I think that it's not necessarily like a direct finger point at Gen Z specifically, but about a specific subsect of people who came from money and who are really quick into like these very heavy internet trends. Like I said, overusing the lingo and like, pointing fingers at each other. It reminds me of kind of like the whole concept of like I don't remember what the fuck they're called. But the ones who fucking carry the hydro flasks and shit all the time.
Beyblade, Tamagotchi.
Yeah, those things, whatever. But it's like that, where it's like, all up in arms about a cause, but everyone seems to be pointing the fingers at each other and saying that they're all pieces of shit.
There were parts like it'll be hard for me to pick specifically because I just spent most of the movie just kind of being like, oh my god, like I really just wanted to leave, and I was like, if we weren't covering it, I potentially would have walked out, but
wow.
Which is, and again, this also could come down to the fact that I've had a pretty rough week, and so I was trying to go see this movie with as little stress as possible, which was difficult, but I feel like if I'm watching just annoying characters scream at each other, it's just going to trigger that anxiety, and I'm just gonna be like, hey, I want to get out of here, like this is not relaxing for me. But I don't know where I was going with that beyond Beyblades and Tamagotchis. But
did the atmosphere do anything for anybody but me?
So my opinion on this movie is that it was fine. I said that at the top of the discussion. I think at face value, it's an okay movie. It's like you said, it's a whodunit. It's kind of a fun time. You get to see people partying, and then you get to see people die. And I do like the paranoia stuff. Some of the best episodes of The Twilight Zone are like that, where it's like, what happens when we're all paranoid? If there is even really a threat. In this case, there's not. And I do like that kind of psychology of what's happening in that regard. This to me is like a movie that you kind of just throw on. And it's like, let me put a movie on in the background. It's a fun time. It's fine.
Yeah, that's why to me it felt more like a Blumhouse than an A24, where it was like
I
with an A24, I usually feel like which I mean, really, if you think back to something like Spring Breakers, which is A24, this has a lot of DNA in common with that, and so it's like it's not like A24 has like always makes the same type of movie, and that's what's cool about them. Like they just came out with Marcel the Shell with shoes on, like they do different stuff, but. The thing that I was going to say earlier that I just remembered was that there were some parts that I thought were really funny. I liked when when Sophie brings up the fact that like, oh, when all of my white enabling friends like want to do drugs around me or whatever, it's fine. But then when the black girl does drugs, it's a problem, and I have to go to rehab or whatever. And then the other girl tries to backtrack and go like, oh, well, I'm obviously an ally for the cause. Yeah, and she's not even addressing the actual point that the other girl is trying to make. She's instead just trying to cover her and I appreciate that part of the satire was like, obviously these people are so
self-centered
and wrapped up in like just covering their own asses.
It's not
and
about the cause,
an image.
it's about how they're presented in the cause.
Yeah, but then it's just like there's so many scenes where it's just characters like, okay, now this character's gonna wander off into the dark.
Sometimes they don't even feel like characters. Sometimes they just feel like bodies.
Oh my god!
No, but I thought the atmosphere was cool. I mean, I like I said, I enjoyed what they were presenting, and I just tried to take it at the face value, and I was like, this is fine. Another thing that really stuck out for me was the music.
Yeah, the music was fantastic.
Disaster Piece's score is great.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah.
Disaster Piece totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
I loved it.
I could take or leave Charlie XCX's track at the end.
I don't. You lost me already.
Yeah, I didn't know who anybody was who sang anything.
Well, I think there was.
I know who Charlie XCX is, but
yeah,
totally
not one of her best songs. But I digress. The score.
Let's go to John's Charlie XCX corner.
The score is fantastic, though.
Yeah, I thought that was like that's something where I'll probably go back to the Bodies score, and probably never go back and watch the movie again. I may watch it again just to see if I missed something.
I think you should.
Yeah, because there are a lot of variables, like I said, that could affect my enjoyment of it. I was like, okay, you have this amazing mansion set, and then you just turn off the lights and don't show anything of it or use it really for the whole movie. They go outside a couple times during the hurricane, which felt a little bit like Jurassic Park because that's also during a hurricane. But and then it just gets really confusing because not only is the layout not very well established of this place that they're in, so when they're wandering around, you have no fucking clue where anybody is or where anything is relative, and then they walk into a room, and I'm like, where the hell did that room come from? Like the big like relaxation room or whatever. There's not a lot of establishing what the house is laid out like or anything like that before the lights go off.
I think it's supposed to make it more labyrinthian, though.
Yeah, but then also that like most of the camera work, especially at when it's dark, is like handheld, and when the characters are like fighting with each other, you can't tell who's who, and the people are rolling around in the dark, and most of it's lit by cell phones, which I'm like, that's a cool idea, but it just seems like a waste of a good location, and they could have like lit it really interestingly and done cool stuff, but instead it's like, let's just turn off the lights and have them light shit with their phones. And yeah, I was like, there's no power. How are you going to charge your batteries? What if your phone dies? That's my biggest problem with this plot hole.
Also, I mean, if we're looking at plot holes like that, so sorry. If you're trying to hide from being killed in the game, why would you turn your light on? Like, just sit in the dark.
When they're all when she's crawling around with her light,
Yeah.
I was like,
what are you doing?
are you dumb? Like, you don't understand how the game
It's
works?
literally just so that way the camera can see her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but I was like, yeah, this game would be awful in a mansion. Like, you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So whatever. Anyway, I think you should revisit it maybe once you're a week or everything has kind of toned down, because I do think that it's at least enjoyable, but maybe not. Maybe because you wanted different things from it.
I had no expectations for it. I just really
Yeah.
like, and it could be any number of the different elements that didn't sit well with me. It could be that because I just came off of Umbrella Academy, I already wasn't in the mood for shitty, unlikable characters making stupid decisions that could be solved by a conversation. So I was probably set up for failure there. Maybe I do have kind of like a built-in annoyance to the Gen Z talk. I didn't think that I did, but the way it was written in this, if this is how Gen Zers actually talk constantly all the time, if they're this type of person, maybe if I lived in LA where this type of person is maybe more common, I would have been like, oh, that's fucking hilarious because that's just like people I see in the coffee shop every day or whatever.
It's like Derek. Isn't that just like Derek?
Yeah. So, and then they're also, I was very confused. There's this whole thing that they keep mentioning throughout the entire movie where they're like, yeah, there was this one friend who was over here last night but disappeared. And then he just shows up at the end and is like, what happened? And there's no real payoff to him being gone and then bringing him up 20 times during the movie. And it's already confusing enough when you're trying to keep track of every guy's name and they keep introducing a character that you've never seen or met throughout the entire thing to be a red herring, even though they should have set up the red herring as a character at the beginning of the movie. And then if he disappeared for the rest of it, you'd be like, of course it's him. Where did he go? But it's
I was hoping that he was going to show up dead and that someone was going to have killed him off too at some point.
But then that would
yeah.
wouldn't have fit the narrative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt personally gaslit by the reviews for this because Stuckman gave it a pretty good review. Sarah from
What does that even mean? Gaslit. Like, what is that?
So
it's just a made up term. It doesn't mean anything.
Does not meet the express written consent of Porcelain Peak LLC.
Well, now I forget where I was. Sarah from Possessed by Horror gave this like a glowing review, and she's like harder on A24 movies than most reviewers, and she was like, I fucking loved this. So I went into this.
Did they say what they loved about it?
Well, I think just a lot of people like I heard a lot of people saying like, oh, there's some like I thought I knew where this was going, and there were some pretty cool twists, and I'm like, there's like one twist in the movie, and yeah, it's surprising, but I was expecting something that had more like stuff going on during the plot. It's pretty straightforward. Like it's just like they play the game.
Just
pretty much
studying
everybody
paranoia.
dies. Yeah.
But I like that kind of stuff, so I was like, this is okay.
Yeah, and maybe seeing, and it's got almost a 4-star rating on Letterboxd, which I usually trust because that's an average of like people just literally giving it reviews. And so I'm like, yeah, like people I see on Letterboxd whose opinions that's why I'm like, I think I'm wrong in this case. Like I know coming out of this, I was like, I probably hated that for reasons that other people might not understand, or like maybe I don't even fully understand, which is why I should revisit it at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is going to be on, since this movie didn't get people, butts into seats, it's going to be on streaming before we know it. So I'll check it out when it comes back on. It's 90 minutes. Like maybe if I go into it knowing like, hey, this is more of like a The Thing style paranoid thriller or whatever, then maybe I'll like it more.
But would you say you loved it, or would you just say that you liked it? Like if it had a dick, would you suck it? Or would you maybe just like smack it?
Reggie, where are my resticles?
Would you slap ass?
I mean,
Like if it were a
liked
person,
it
how would you pleasure it?
give it a good high five. I liked it a lot. I didn't love it.
Okay.
I feel like it. Like I would definitely watch it again. I don't know if I'd be like rushing to go out and see it in theaters. But
That's fair.
I do think
you are
that
American, you wouldn't be Russian to go
for sure.
Yeah.
Would you buy it in any capacity, whether that be physical or digitally?
Oh, that's tough. Maybe. I mean, if it wasn't like a good sale, I wouldn't mind.
I think if it's not a yes or a no, that's your answer.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I wouldn't buy it day one for $20 or whatever the full price would be.
Yeah.
Like the only movies that I really do stuff like that for, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. I bought that day one for whatever price they were asking. I would have paid more for it. But this movie, like, I'll wait till it's on a sale, but I'd own it.
Do you think that if the A24 logo hadn't popped up before this movie,
Oh, I would
you
have thought it was a
liked less?
no, I would have thought it was a Blumhouse movie, but I would have still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Do you think that the characters do have redeeming qualities to counter what Anthony was saying?
I think that B does specifically. The rest of them are meant to be hated, and I think that that's kind of the point. And I get the not getting the value of the characters you hate then being like brutally murdered, but I don't think the actual act of killing them is necessary to get that payoff, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of comes down to like what the points were. Like, was the point for us to hate them all? Maybe. Was the point for us not to really focus on the deaths, but the deaths just a way to make a point about the paranoia and the commentary, whatever it might be? Like, it's hard to know without knowing the writers and directors' kind of intentions with the film.
I think there's a possibility it could be a little of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that I don't think that, no offense, because you're a very good debater, a master debater even. I don't think that any of the points that you made in this discussion really did anything to change my mind about the movie, and I don't think that any of the points I made did anything to change your mind, which I think really comes down to this is probably just a taste issue.
Yeah, a personal preference thing.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and when we were texting about it earlier, and you're like, oh yeah, I hated that. I loathed that entirely. I was like, I think I could get you to a medium heat dislike. Which, like I said, I didn't think that there was going to be like a magic thing I could say that could convince you this is a good.
I just
movie.
was like,
think
I
you
was
just
so
weren't in the mood
confused
for
when I
it.
walked out that I was like, there's got to be a magic something that I'm missing that like explains what really like ties this all together into being
je ne sais quoi.
certain yeah, but no, I think that's really interesting. Like, it's fine that we fall on opposite ends, and you made a great mediator during that discussion.
Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, thanks. That's
Do we
again,
want
I'll-
to try to give it a?
Oh yeah, let's rate it out of 5 bodies.
Okay. This is a break. And they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming,
And they don't stop
coming,
bodies, and they don't stop bodies.
I will say, I give it like a 3. I think that.
So you give it bodies.
Yeah, sorry, a 3. Bodies. It was fun enough. There was a few times I laughed out loud. Obviously, the podcast stuff hit pretty close to home for obvious reasons, and the cocaine stuff really hit close to home for obvious reasons. So that was cool. I was just fiending the whole time. I was like, let me get me through this movie. But yeah. Is that Dr. Cheese? No. Anyway, and the score was rad, and I liked Lee Pace. But it didn't feel like something I hadn't seen, I guess. It did feel derivative in a lot of ways. And like you said, everyone is there to hate, and that's kind of the point. It's hard. It's a hard movie to kind of get behind. So I think I'm comfortable at a 3 bodies.
So I'm gonna give it a bodies, bod. So a 3.5.
Okay. Hot bod.
So like I said, it's
Rockin' bod.
it's probably somewhere in the bottom third of A24 horror movies for me. But like the majority of those aren't bad until you get to like Black Coat's Daughter and shit
That's just like your opinion, though.
true.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Very true. I know there are a lot of people
It's
who
also
really
my
like.
opinion.
You
I
see a
don't,
lot of people.
I don't remember what I said about that movie when we talked about
I
it.
think
so.
that you initially really liked it, and then we kind of brought you down. And you're like, yeah, that wasn't very good.
Probably.
that was where the master debater came in.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that it's good. I would go back and see it again.
Yeah, I'd watch it again.
I like I said, I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed, a good majority of the satire, and like I said, there were moments that made me laugh, moments that made me think, and I thought that the twist was pretty neat.
Pretty neat. There you go.
Yeah. I think I'm going to give this Bodies.
It's a 2.
I'm going to give this
I think
Bodies
two's
out
fair.
of Bodies. But yeah. So, yeah, that may for how much I shit on it, it may surprise people that I'm giving it 2 stars, but it's well made.
Yeah.
It looks cool. The score is great. It's from Disasterpiece, which I love. I do think that
We've watched shittier movies in the last month.
yeah, exactly. Like, this is nowhere near the bottom of the list in terms of just being like a terribly made movie. It's a well-made movie that didn't click for me. So I think I can still give it the benefit of the doubt and say I enjoyed it two bodies worth. So, yeah.
Right on. Cool. Well, let us know your opinions on Bodies over on Instagram or in a comment below, or shoot us an email at porcelainpeak@gmail if you're feeling crazy. But that's going to wrap it up for our main discussion. We'll go ahead and get started with our final cut.
Mystery edition.
I don't know.
What do you know? I asked for final cut, and I got it!
Hey, surprise! We're nearing the end of the season, and we're out of ideas. So, what we're going to do for Final Cut today is kind of a grab bag, if you will. So
Don't
we're just
call it
gonna,
a grab bag.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about random shit that we have been enjoying lately. For me, the last thing that I was really getting into, I don't know if anyone's seen
touching
this.
yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I like to do one in the butt, one in the mouth, and I like to play a little game called Switch. Yeah, that's reminds me of being a kid. Anyway,
Are we
I
glad we
watched-
did this for Final Cut?
yeah. I usually do thumbs, like that plum style. Anyway,
The old thumb plum.
the thumb plum, yeah.
Please talk about what you watched or read or.
I keep forgetting what it is. Oh, have you guys seen this documentary, The Most Hated Man on the Internet?
I haven't, but I was like, that's a pretty big title to give somebody.
Yeah, so it's about Hunter Moore. He is a man that was like, I think it was like The Scene, but right when we got out of it, because they talked a lot about Twitter, and I don't feel like Twitter was big when we were in The Scene, because we were like email, then Scene,
Yeah.
and then I feel like that's when I kind of was like, whatever, I'm gonna go.
Hunter more like Hunter less.
Anyway, he started. Is
Hunter,
anyone
I barely know her.
is anyone up?
Huh?
Where is anyone up? It's a website,
Oh,
and people would submit. It's like revenge porn, so people would submit naked pictures of anyone they wanted, and he would take them down.
I did hear about
So
this.
his whole thing was like, well, I didn't put them up. I just gave people a platform to do it. So the people you should be mad at are the people that are posting them. Anyway, I
Classic-
won't give away too many
classic
details,
defense.
but there's a lot that goes into it. It's pretty wild, and then
Worth checking out.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I
'Cause
mean, I
I
was
lo-
just like, holy shit.
I just never know with Netflix documentary stuff whether it's going to be good or just kind of boring because they put out so much shit that I'm like, is this going to be the one that actually hooks me? So if you think it's worth checking out and it's got some cool twists and turns, I'll have to watch
I've been
it.
kind of into their documentaries a lot. I'm watching I Just Killed My Dad right now.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
I watched Untold about the catfishing.
Manti Te'o.
Yeah, that shit was wild. One that was really good that I think you guys will probably like because it was kind of right when we were growing up is the Woodstock documentary.
Oh yeah.
So they did one
Woodstock
on Woodstock
99.
99, yeah, which I vaguely remember happening, but not.
You were just on too much acid at the time
Yeah,
to really
so
fully remember
much
it. Yeah.
acid.
But not to the extent of like I knew how big of a disaster that shit was.
It's insane because HBO came out with a documentary
Right.
for it, so it's like I was saying, it's another Firefest situation where
Yeah.
I'll watch this and just be an expert in Woodstock '99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's wild. I enjoyed the fuck out of it, though. I mean, in my head, I'm like, what did you expect to happen when you're trying to recreate a like peaceful music festival and your headliners are the Chili Peppers, Limp Bizkit, and Korn? Like, what? That's yeah. Of course, you're gonna get a bunch of angry frat boys doing stupid shit.
Especially
You
also
get what you fucking deserve.
and didn't they hire Hell's Angels to be the security or some shit?
No, that's
I
something
think that
else.
was the Altamont
That's the
Speedway.
Altamont, yeah.
yeah. During the, I think it was a Rolling
Yeah.
Stones concert. But
No, they hired Peace Patrol. So they weren't actually security guards because they don't want people carrying around guns. And those people were just like, whatever, I'm just here for the show now. At this, like, one dude sold his shirt for like $400.
Well, I think people also forget that the
Yeah.
original Woodstock was like a complete giant shit show. But
Was it?
Well, just in terms of like, there were people who like people were basically just like sleeping in mud and shit the whole thing. But at the time, they're all fucking hippies and they're all so high on drugs. And at least you have good acts playing that people were able to like suffer through it. Like it's not like the original Woodstock was like, you know, the Garden of Eden. Like
That's how they make it seem in
Garden
this.
of Eden?
Where they, I mean, obviously they do the contrast between the two, and I was like, oh man, it looks way different. But like they had people making food and like community. It was like we're all brotherly.
Yeah, this was
This is
definitely
like-
not the hippie
yeah.
vibe, but
Yeah.
like the peace and love vibe.
Anyway, that's kind of what I've been into. I've been diving into docs.
For me, I went to go see Coheed and Cambria.
Cambria.
Huh?
Soft day.
I prefer Cambria.
All right.
I've heard it said both ways. I prefer Cambria. Either way,
Cambria?
they were fantastic. They
How was Alkaline? They opened for them, right?
So it was a band called the Holy Wars. They were all right. I was in line for merch most of the time. I wouldn't have the shirt without it. The line for merch was insanity.
I think you wasted all that time.
So they sold because if you're not aware of Coheed's career, all of their albums are like really long, like multi-album rock operas,
Except one.
except for one in the
Rock
middle, and then the
opera.
two most recent are a new storyline.
Oh.
Um,
So not only are they like operas, but they're all one giant connected story.
yeah, which is pretty insane. Very, very cool sci-fi concepts.
Looks like from that shirt.
Yeah.
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 So they sell right now masks at like not like masks like face mask, but like an actual like a over your head mask of some of the characters from the current story art, which is about Vaxis. But
Dude, I'm like, make a fucking movie already, guys.
they had like
They did some Dark Horse comics, right?
Yeah, so they had like the hardcover Amory Wars series.
Oh,
All
really?
there. They were very expensive, but like
That
I
sounds
would,
so tight. Though.
yeah, I thought about doing it. Would have probably cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of like $200 to get all the volumes. But I want to check it out first because I've never read any of them. I've heard they're great, but they're Holy Wars was okay. Alkaline Trio was all right. I think
I'm not a big like. I know of them. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you a song. Like I know they have a song that says like I shat the bed, but that's all I know.
I always fall asleep in the Alkaline.
literally like everybody I know knows of Alkaline Trio, but like doesn't listen to them.
Yeah, but now they're famous because one of them's in Blink 182.
Yeah, I did make the joke that that I would have preferred the other Matt Skiba project, and then Ashley had to ruin that by saying that Mark Hoppus has cancer, so they're probably not touring. I was like,
Jesus.
I forgot.
Oh, I thought he was like in remission. Or
he is in remission now, but I don't think that they're touring. He's probably not ready for that yet.
oh,
Yeah.
But
Way
they were
downer. Ashley, the intern, producer.
they were all right. But Coheed was fantastic. Like I said, they had this huge like Cthulhu monster inflatable thing behind them that had all these crazy lights and shit. They had 2 screens and they had different. Bless you.
Cthulhu.
They had like different like visuals and stuff playing that matched the
Yeah.
specific songs that went
were
along
at
with the storyline.
The Greek, right?
Yeah, the Greek in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Love the Greek.
Was really nice. They had a nice spot for the elder emos like myself, where you could sit, and there was also a back.
At the top of the theater.
Yeah, at the top of like the base part, like the very middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, super nice. Very.
We've been there.
Yeah, very easy to get to water, and everything there is cashless. So the only place they take cash is at a specific place at one of the corners where they basically will take your cash and then turn it into a prepaid card, and then everything either takes Apple Pay, Google Pay, or Samsung
Oh, I thought
Pay.
it was like a barter system. Like they were like, we're doing it like the real Greek times.
How much is that in pubes?
Well, I feel like that's been my experience at the Greek, not the pubes part, but the part where usually like a band that I think is maybe going to be like the opening acts are always kind of like and then always the main act is like fucking killer. When we went and saw, I think it was Brand New when Modest
And
Mouse
Modest
opens
Mouse.
for
Yeah,
him.
Modest Mouse was fine.
Yeah, which was on that video of bad live performances but good studio things was
Really?
Modest Mouse. Yeah, which I was like, in my experience, that's true. I did not like. I love Modest Mouse. Did not really like, but we were also kind of distracted. But anywho,
Yeah.
that's cool. I was just saying before we got on mic here that I desperately want to go to another concert, so I was very jealous when I saw that you were doing that. I'm not a Coheed fan, but I do know the one song from Rock Band, and so I'm happy they played that for you.
And
I mean,
most
I'm all about in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3.
one of my favorite albums of all time.
I can listen to it now.
Yeah. They're this generation's Rush, just with more sci-fi concepts.
I don't know what that means.
You've never heard of Rush?
Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, I know Rush. But I don't know what this generation's Rush means.
Yeah, because they sound like
he
Rush.
sounds like an updated.
Oh, okay.
vocalist
Yeah,
from Rush.
because they
Yeah.
literally
Well, I didn't
sound
know
like
that.
Rush.
Okay. Well, that's what you meant. There we go. Glad we clarified.
Yeah. Is that all you got to say about Coheed and
Is that all you got to say?
Cambria?
That's all I have to say about that. I also watched the Untold, the series about Manti Te'o, which was very interesting.
That shit's so sad. If you don't know, he was like a big football player in high school, went to Notre Dame, and then got fucking catfished hard in front of the nation.
That's crazy.
And almost ruined his career.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely put a damper on it, but he almost lost his entire like pro ball career that he worked like decades for.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Wow.
But very interesting. And I'm not like super into sports or anything, but the story's not really about the football. It's really about what happened.
I'm actually a pretty big fan of sports documentaries for somebody who has no interest in sports.
You
I
should-
really love like I really liked The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls documentary. I love all of the like what is it, the wrestling ones, like Behind the Ring or whatever they're called. Like, yeah.
Netflix has a bunch of this Untold series, and then
I think I've watched some of it actually, yeah.
Yeah.
they
There's
did
some,
like movies, and now this is a series.
yeah.
Where they're doing more like what else did you see the little trailer at the
Yeah,
end?
so there's like there's one about the guy who was a referee in the NBA who got caught betting on the games he was reffing, which is a big time illegal thing.
Player move.
But
And then what was there was like the mob, like the British mob or something. What was that one?
yeah, it was about some European football team.
Yeah, that shit looks. I love like European gangsters. I don't know why. Like any Guy Ritchie movie, I'm always like, yeah.
If you watch any of these things that we're talking about and you like those, I would highly suggest to check out Secret Base on YouTube. The creator, John Boyce, he makes very, very interesting, like super analytical, like content about sporting events and sporting teams and like different like players and stuff. But it usually has like these crazy detours into things that happened into similar time periods or things that the person did that were way outside of the sport. The one of the most recent things that I watched was this basically a retrospective about a game, and it was a playoff game in Indianapolis, and how badly Indianapolis needed to be beat by the Steelers in order for people to not die when some random crazy person crashed a plane into the stands. And it like breaks everything down based on what the guy in the plane is doing, what's going on in
That
the
really
stadium.
happened?
It really
He was
happened.
gonna crash if they didn't win.
No,
He did crash, and they were saying this is how many people would have died if this team had won. Here's how many people died because this other team won or whatever. Like
Yeah.
how many people would have still been in the stands when the plane crashed
Based on-
if
yeah.
the game had gone a different way.
Yeah.
Weird, dude.
Yeah. Like the content that they make is like shit that's right up your alley.
Yeah.
And I didn't
that
know
sounds
that.
right up my alley
Yeah.
too. Like that sounds super cool.
I will send
What
you
is
the
that
link.
called again?
Secret Base.
Okay,
Yeah,
just for
but-
the audience, you can
yeah.
send me the link.
But yeah, I'll send you the link later.
Right on.
Like Richard.
Yeah, like Richard. Yeah, beat me to it.
Because he's a director. I got it. I know jokes. Go ahead.
He did the Boyhood movie. So yeah, I'm just gonna rattle off a couple movies since you guys had some other.
You know what I wanted to ask you about, actually?
I don't
Since
know.
we're just grabbing and
Uh-huh.
bagging?
Yeah.
You mentioned The Empty Man earlier, and I recently looked up like a list of best movies streaming, and that popped up. Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
I've seen it 2 or 3 times.
Oh, so it's pretty good.
That's why it's on the Uncut Gems list. I added it to the list because
Alright.
it's a movie that got dumped onto streaming when the pandemic started and didn't get any press or anything.
Didn't Stuckman love it?
Stuckman loved it, which is I think why I originally watched it. And I had seen it popping up on lists. But it's this movie that starts out like one way and gets so insane and like crazy with lore, and it's got cult stuff, and it like, because you think, you hear the Empty Man, you think it's going to be like a Slender Man thing, and that's kind of what it starts out as, where there's like a urban legend type component to it.
And like the cold opening is like 15 minutes or something.
It's so
crazy,
cool too.
right?
And it takes place in like the Himalayas or something. Like it's gorgeous. It's a really cool movie.
Okay, yeah, I watched some of it and then I fell asleep.
It's long too.
No
It's like a
shocker,
2.5 hour movie or something. So.
Okay.
But
Worth
I
a
would
watch.
highly recommend it. Something else that I highly recommend, and I told you guys this in text, is a 2022 film called Resurrection. This movie stars Rebecca Hall, who I love from The Night House and from that movie Christine, where she plays the news reporter who shot herself, and she's great. And Tim Roth, Abomination himself.
Oh. I mean, that's not what I think when I first go to him. But
I was just thinking it because I was watching a She-Hulk.
I always go
Attorney at Law
Tarantino when
review.
I think Tim Roth.
Yeah. What is it? Is it Honey? What does he call her? Honey? Is it Honey Bun or I don't know? Whatever.
Honey Bunny.
Honey Bunny. Yeah. So Resurrection. Is basically what I told you guys was, did you like the movie Men, but you didn't feel like it really like nailed the message it was trying to put across? This movie is basically trying to do the same message, but does it, to me, at least a half star better. Because I gave this a 3.5 and I gave Men a 3.
It's a half star better, man.
Yeah, but I would recommend it if you liked Men, but you thought it got a little bit. So the tagline is maintain
Sports.
control. A woman's carefully constructed life is upended when an unwelcome shadow from her past returns, forcing her to confront the monster she's evaded for 2 decades. So basically she's trying to raise her daughter, and Tim Roth's character shows up, and he is somebody from her past, and her paranoia starts to build, and Rebecca Hall is great when it comes to playing paranoia. She's just in tears and crazy throughout this entire movie. Crazy is probably not a word that we should be using anymore, but anywho.
Speaking of words you're not supposed to use anymore, you guys know that you're not supposed to call it a master bedroom anymore?
Oh,
Have you heard this?
I never even thought of where that
It's
connotation
supposed to
might
be
have
like
come from.
the main bedroom.
Yeah.
I heard that recently. Someone told me, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Really? And they're like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I
Just
just
call
always,
you call it the suite.
Yeah, the
yeah.
main
Whenever my
bedroom.
grandparents were like, "Oh yeah, we're going," we got the master bedroom. I'm like, "You think you're better than me?"
Yes.
Yeah. A movie that I talked to you guys also about that I really, really enjoyed was Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
I also saw Elvis. Yeah.
This finally came to HD streaming, so I checked it out. And another case of terrible trailer, awesome fucking movie. I thought this thing had tons of energy, which I thought he kicked it up a lot from, because of Baz Luhrmann, like he's got his style,
Yeah.
You've seen The Great Gatsby,
It's very
Romeo and
fucking
Juliet.
crazy.
Like, yeah.
Well, I literally
This,
just
I felt
said we
like he
shouldn't say
really
that,
just like, turned it up, made it so there wasn't a boring moment in the movie. I'm not an expert on Elvis, so I was very interested in. It gave a little bit of leeway for me to go like, okay, this probably isn't a 100% accurate interpretation. I know that Elvis did court
None of those
Priscilla when she was
biopics-
like 14 years old, and there's all that
Oh, wow.
controversy around that, and they kind of skim over that. It reminded me of Bohemian Rhapsody, but done where they skim over some of the heavier stuff. But this had obviously oodles more style. I thought Austin Butler was surprisingly 100% convincing as Elvis. He, as soon as I like watched it for 5 minutes and got past like the makeup and started hearing him talking and acting, I believed it was Elvis. And I was like, this, I feel like, much like with Bohemian Rhapsody, I felt the performance was so much an embodiment of that person that I felt like this is the closest I'm going to get to watching like an Elvis performance. Like I'm there, like feeling the energy. Like it's different from watching him on like a, static TV, like old video or whatever.
Well, those biopics always take liberties. Like, I mean, even something like Straight Outta Compton, which I loved, that's not like 100% accurate.
Yeah. But
and then you go Rocket Man and go literally into like
yeah, and
ridiculous sci-fi.
So I mean, yeah, take away from what you want to take.
Yeah, the only thing that I found incredibly distracting was that Tom Hanks, for some reason, is in his weird period of like, I'm going to put on a fuck ton of makeup and play a weird character. And in this, he plays the Elvis's shitty manager, the Colonel, and he is just he's not only in a
That's
ton
literally
of
the name.
Yeah, he's not. They actually make a Colonel Sanders joke in the movie, but he not only has a ton of makeup on, but he's also doing a goofy ass accent, which I understand is supposed to be like that guy's accent, but it reminded me a little bit like he felt like he was doing like James Franco in Disaster Artist, like trying to do like a Tommy Wiseau type character. It's just very distracting. But other than that, loved the movie. I love the part when the scary looking kid from The Road and The Power of the Dog.
Freddy, is it Freddy?
I
Is that Freddie Highmore?
It's not Freddie Highmore, but I can just look it up right here. I have the movie in my shit. It's
Nobody cares that much.
Well, but Dacre Montgomery from Billy from Stranger Things was in this for a little bit.
Yep.
Cody Smith McPhee.
Cody Smith McPhee.
When he brings the record to them in the beginning and he puts it down, they're all like, blah blah blah. We can't play this, and he goes, guys, he's white, and literally every character goes, oh my god, because they're so excited that it's a white man doing black music.
So selfishly.
Yeah. And then for the last movie that I'll throw in here that I checked out that I thought was quite good was, let's see what I want to choose here. I'll pick a movie called Hatching, because people probably haven't heard too much about this.
That sounds familiar. Is that on Shut? I've heard that name.
Maybe. This is what the poster and stuff looks like.
I think so. Maybe not. Who knows?
It is directed by Hannah Bergholm. It is a Finnish movie, maybe.
I'll finish what you're saying.
The plot is 12-year-old Tinia is desperate to please her mother, a woman obsessed with presenting the image of a perfect family. One night, Tinia finds a strange egg. What hatches is beyond belief. The girl finds an egg. You see it in the trailer. It gets big, and it hatches into this fucking grotesque practical effect of like a human bird hybrid. It's got like this, again, ghoul body. And like a crazy, like fleshy bird head with like, and it's all practical, and they do it to this crazy puppet, and then it starts to like mutate and like molt, and very disturbing. And then there's this whole like Black Swan-esque, like this girl's a gymnast and her mother is like fuck you, like I'm gonna drive you into the ground, and so she's kind of like, it's interesting. You should check it out.
Right on. That sounds
I would
cool.
recommend it for show.
All right. Oh, excuse me.
I mean, it's just time for bed.
So tired, yeah. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Final cut, yeah? We're good there? Great.
Yeah, good
Next
final cut.
week, the last episode of the season, our second annual Todd Browning Awards. We're super excited. If you have not voted already, you still can. You still got time. We'll take votes up until the day that we fucking record.
Links in the description.
Yeah, links in the description somewhere.
Link in our bio on Instagram.
There you
Link
go. It's
probably
everywhere.
in the story. I'll put it up tonight. I've been putting it up all the time. We're getting a good amount of votes. I think last year, maybe we had 18 people vote in. Right now, we're sitting at about 17, 18. So if just a few more people want to hop in there and give their opinions. There are some that are closer races, some that are just obviously like there's a clear winner that's just taken off above the rest. I'm too curious, okay? I want to know.
Yeah, and even if like, I would vote, but I haven't seen this shit, just vote anyway.
Vote for whatever your favorite thing is that you have seen.
And just guess. And then send it to people that you know.
Yeah.
It's not the fucking Oscars because we accept Native American people here.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
people
like,
too.
should we retroactively put Prey in here?
Yeah. I was thinking about it too, but I was like, nah, we already got the poll up.
We're too far gone, but that might get an honorary.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, please vote, and that's what we're going to be covering next week. We'll probably do news, we'll probably do trivia, but then the most of the episode is going to be about those awards, and we might get a little fancy. We also might not.
Yeah. Depends on how hot it is in this goddamn room.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I've been Tone.
I've been John.
Or watching, I guess.
And I've been Internet Darling Anthony.
Ooh, see you next time. Staking out.
Keep it creepy.
For exclusive episodes, early access, merch, and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak.
Thanks to all our patrons for the support, and special thanks to producers Chuck, Rob, Ashley, and Michael.
You can find Porcelain Peak on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Wherever you listen, don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thrilling episode.
Special thanks to Roger Jackson for introducing the show, and to Jeff For Real for composing the Porcelain Peak opening and closing song.
All content and episodes are written, produced, designed, and edited by the Porcelain Peak team, consisting of Anthony Perez, John Brasher, and Anthony Silva.
This has been Here words for weirdos production.